We often imagine that the universe needs instructions to create structure, rules, forces, or some kind of blueprint that tells matter what to do. But when you look closely, most structure does not arise from instructions at all. It arises from limits. If energy, matter, or information were allowed to move completely freely, they would spread out, diffuse, and dissolve into noise. Nothing stable would remain. The moment motion is constrained, however, something changes. Patterns begin to form. A river does not need a plan to carve a channel. The landscape limits where the water can flow. Snowflakes do not follow a design. They grow within temperature, geometry, and molecular constraints. Galaxies do not assemble by intention. Gravity limits where matter can collect. Shape appears not because the universe is trying to build something, but because motion is guided rather than unrestricted. Structure alone, however, is not enough. For anything meaningful to exist, it has to last. Motion does not vanish the instant it passes through a system. When constraints persist long enough, motion leaves traces behind. Ripples remain after a wave has passed. Sand dunes record the direction of wind. Trails form where footsteps repeat. No one is recording these patterns, and no memory is being stored intentionally. The environment simply allows certain arrangements to survive. Motion remembers its path when it is filtered instead of erased. Once a pattern survives, it begins to shape future motion. Water follows existing channels. Energy flows where resistance is lower. Structure builds on structure, not because of planning, but because persistence reinforces what already works. This is why it is important to understand that solid objects are not required to store patterns. Fields do this constantly. Magnetic fields curve space around them. Electric fields guide charged particles. Plasma forms glowing filaments suspended in what appears to be empty space. There is no rigid framework holding these structures together, yet they persist. The pattern exists because motion is consistently constrained in the same way over time. Persistence is not about material strength, it is about coherence. If the environment supports a pattern, that pattern can survive, even if it is made of nothing more than motion, energy, and fields. Our intuition often fails here because we tend to think resistance is a bad thing, opposition, loss, something that stops progress. In physics, resistance is often what allows systems to remain stable. A shock absorber does not stop motion. It slows it enough to prevent destruction. An electrical choke does not block current. It smooths fluctuations. Too much change too quickly destroys structure, while too little change makes systems brittle and fragile. Stability lives in between. Resistance filters motion just enough for coherence to survive. This is why systems that last are rarely rigid. They are adaptable. They change slowly enough to remain intact while still responding to their environment. This brings us to an important realization. Persistence does not mean permanence. Nothing lasts forever. Stars burn out. Ecosystems collapse. Civilizations rise and fall. Even galaxies evolve, merge, and rearrange over cosmic time. Persistence determines not what lasts forever, but what survives long enough to shape what comes next. Most patterns fail almost immediately. A small number endure, not because they are perfect, but because they fit their environment well enough. This is selection without intention. No goal, no foresight, no optimization, just survival under constraint. When you step back, this same process appears at every scale. Atoms form because certain configurations are stable. Molecules persist because bonds filter motion. Life survives because some arrangements manage energy better than others. Large-scale cosmic structure exists because gravity constrains motion over immense distances and times. The universe does not reset. It carries forward what has already endured. Collapse and renewal are not failures of order. They are part of how persistence continues. Old structures break down, but what survives the transition becomes the foundation for what follows. If there is a quiet lesson in all of this, it is that the universe does not build complexity by design. It builds it by filtering motion through constraints, allowing only certain patterns to persist. No master plan is required, no external guidance is needed. Reality grows through what survives pressure, change, and time. If you want to understand the universe, the most important question is not what forces exist, but which patterns are able to last and why.